guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, which there is a lot of you, I just want to say, first of all, welcome. And secondly, thank you so much for pressing that subscribe button. You are not obligated, you are not forced to do it. You did it because you enjoyed something on the channel, and I'm super grateful for that. So if you are a new subscriber, please do drop a heart in the comment section so that we can acknowledge you and probably welcome you to the family. I just want to say shout out to Amo, who eventually finally dropped a heart. She's been a subscriber for a while, but she was like, hey, I've actually never dropped a heart, so I see you, girl. And if you are a returning subscriber, you know what it is. You know what it is. Welcome back. We're having another chat. Yeah, thank you guys so much for catching up on the videos. Thank you for the subscribes. Thank you for the likes. Mara o gara la lekanyana mo di liking, guys. O gara la lekanyana. Please don't forget to like this video, share it, comment, and subscribe. Press the red button. It's absolutely free. I think it was such a serendipitous moment for me because this morning when I was taking a shower, usually when I take a shower, I listen to some YouTube videos or something to play in the background, just to get myself going, right? And so the inspiration that I got, which you can see from the title today, we are talking about sex and marriage. So I got this inspiration from earlier on in the week when I watched the hashtag Do Less podcast by Naledi, who I absolutely enjoy, Usmunyankis. So please do go check out that podcast. She was talking about sex just generally with her friends, and this morning I was listening to the Machetas or the Max. I'm such a fan. So please also go check out that channel as well. They've got amazing content, especially for couples that are young, and I like their channel because in as much as they are very God-centered, they're very real. And I've said this before, that I feel like that's missing a lot in terms of young couples that are on YouTube, right? And so yes, so I actually wanted to merge those two concepts together because obviously the concept of sex exists outside of you, who you've decided to spend the rest of your life with, for most people. And for me, that duality exists. Have always been a very sexually liberated being. Not always in the most positive of ways. I'll add that disclaimer, not always in the most positive of ways, but I've also learned to understand the spiritual side of sex. And obviously because half of me is like bad bitch and half of me is like spiritual child, Manabadimo, that duality exists inside of me, and so I have to satisfy both sides, right? I wanted you guys to understand the concept because I think it's important in how I'm going to go about it. So first, I want to give context of the type of relationship that I had with sex before I got into my relationship now with my partner, who I am going to marry, or I am in the process of marrying or getting married to. And I want to speak about how sex has become since I met him and since we got engaged, because trust me, it's completely been different. And I'm sorry, baby, I know you're going to be watching this. I didn't actually ask you for permission, although I did tell you that this is going to be my topic today. So I'm going to try and be as transparent as possible without compromising the sanctity of what is done in our marital bedroom. Okay. so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So let's talk about my relationship with sex before I got into this particular relationship. Good and bad, guys. Good and bad, right? First of all, trigger warning. Most of you will know that I experienced sexual violence at a very young age. I got gang raped and I think I was about 12 or 13. And it's something that I never really spoke about to the people that I loved, people that supported me, until very recently, actually, that I've been open about it, because I've realized that it can help a lot of other women. To know that it happens to most of us, it's happened to most of us, and it's not okay. But there's something on the other side of it, because for the longest time I existed in this space where sex represented violence and men were a threat. And so, for the most part of my life, I was afraid of sex. So, this was now from the time the incident happened to about first year of varsity, which is when not first year, but first year after matric, which is when I actually had consensual sex with the people that I was in a relationship with. Not at the same time, of course, but you get what I mean, right? So for the longest time, I avoided the topic I avoided it, I avoided boys. I tried to make myself as unattractive as possible to men for the longest time after that happened, because I just feared for my life. So I became one of the boys. I was a tomboy. I mean, people who knew me in high school will tell you, Negile tomboy, still am. But I think I'm finding my more feminine side, and that's because of the relationship that I've found with myself, healing, and the relationship that I've found with the partner that I'm with now. So, pardon me. So, let's say from 8th grade, which is when it happened, to about 10th grade, I really wasn't trying to entertain the idea of sex. I wasn't, I was into boys. I dated and all of that, but dikobo was not on my agenda. Okay. And then post grade 10, I met my high school love. And we dated for a very long time. And I remember people used to mock him. I remember those words so vividly. Because 11th grade, 12th grade, everybody's having sex, and we would find ourselves in positions where we would want to do it, because at some point I felt like I had to do it because all of my friends were doing it, and I've been dating this person who seems to actually love me, because my friends were doing it with jerks, like guys that just hit and run. And I felt like this guy really loves me, and I'm going to do it with him. But it just never got there. It never happened, right? So post high school, we go our separate ways with I'll refer to him as first love, or high school love. Yes, let me call him high school love. So high school love and I go our separate ways. He goes to varsity. I take a gap year because my mom wasn't happy with my matric marks, so she forced me to upgrade my marks, which happened because she's my mom. My mom tried to take me to high school, guys, back to repeat grade 12. My principal was like, ma'am, no. She's in the top 5. She's not coming back to the school because you're not happy with her marks. No, I'm sorry. Anyway, that's a story for another day. So we go our separate ways. We still try to date, and I give him permission. So I say to him, listen, you're a guy. I know I don't even get to visit you because now I'm living at home. So have sex. I just want to know about it. Do it with whoever, but you must tell me that you had sex with someone else. Okay, cool. We have that agreement. Life goes on, and then we break up at some point because it's not working. And I start dating a guy back home, and he was a really cool guy. He really liked me. I liked him back, and then we still had, we were intimate. So that was the first time that I was engaged with having consensual sex for the first time ever, right? And it wasn't even with my high school love. It was with this guy, right? At that point, sex is very uncomfortable for me, right? But I'm figuring it's because I haven't had it before. on my own terms, so it's uncomfortable, whatever. And then fast forward the following year, I now join high school love in bloom, and I live alone now. I can do whatever the hell I want. And when I tell you that yeah, it was happening. I think we caught up for all the years that we were not consummating the relationship in high school. And it was good because I was really doing it with someone that I loved. But then again, I still had no connection to it. I had a connection to the person that I loved, right? And not necessarily to the act of having sex. So I was very uncomfortable with a lot of things. I was uncomfortable with certain positions. I was uncomfortable with being naked. I was uncomfortable with having sex in the afternoon when the sun was up, or not having it in the dark. I was very uncomfortable. It was just uncomfortable, you know. I was having it, I was enjoying it, but I was not comfortable, right? So, I felt like, let me explain it this way. I was doing it for him because I loved him and not so much for myself. And then it went south from there because then he started cheating and I started cheating back, and cheating involves sex. And after that, I developed a very, very bad relationship with sex, and it was just like, it was a vice for me. If you understand what a vice is, some people use alcohol as a vice, some people use drugs, some people use music. It was an escape. It was something to help me escape from reality. So you can imagine how unhealthy my sex life was at that point in time. This is now second, third year of varsity. Yeah, I call it my whole phase. It was a very bad phase for me. Unhealthy sex habits, having multiple, sexual interactions with people, risky sexual interactions with people, one night stands, and just like things that I shouldn't have been doing, because I had a very bad relationship with sex at that point in time. And also, I was just having sex with these people to get back at this guy that I loved, that now betrayed my trust and went and had sex with someone else, even though I was having sex with him, you know? I started therapy in 2012, 13 there, somewhere there, which is the same year that I was diagnosed with clinical depression. Story for another day. We are clean. We are happy people now, trying, healing, some days are better than others. But again, the depression thing, we'll talk about it some other time. But I got diagnosed in that year, and that's the year that I started therapy. And during the time that I was doing therapy, sex came up, and my relationship with sex came up, because this was the first time I actually really spoke out about my rape. And then the correlations came in, and the smart people will tell you, no, baby girl, don't be hard on yourself. That was a cause and effect type of situation. But because this happened to you and it was such a traumatic experience, your mind sort of developed a way in which you felt empowered, because you felt like, I will have sex when I want to have sex. They won't have sex with me when I don't want to have sex. I'm going to have it when I want to have it, and I'll have it with whoever I want to have it with, and it was just kind of like a reverse empowerment thing. This is very weird, okay? But it taught me a lot. And I remember, fast forward now, past my relationship with high school guy and past my relationship with whoever came after him, that doesn't matter now. I met my partner, right? So I met my partner at the end of 2015, having broken up with someone else. And I remember having a conversation with my partner, and he asked me, like, this is now when we're still getting to know each other, because long distance. And he's like, so what kind of relationship do you have with sex? And I don't know how we got to that conversation, because we hardly ever spoke about sex. But I think the one time we were like, okay, we need to speak about sex. He's he was like, what's your relationship with sex? And I was like, I have no attachment to that thing. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I don't care. Like, I don't care who I have it with. I really don't care. It could be a guy whose name I don't remember. I'm not attached to it, so it's not gonna matter, right? It's not intimate for me. And so we get into a relationship and we do the deed, and I'm still in an uncomfortable space. I'm still also conscious of the fact that I hope I'm not having sex with this guy for the wrong reasons, because we just met up now for the second time since dating, and we're already inside. Take the deed all the time, guys, like all the time. But for me, and I always say this to him, I say he gave me a gift of feeling safe to be myself, safe to express myself sexually. And I think I'll always be grateful to him for that. I don't think it's something that he did consciously, but he just made me feel safe, and I wish that gift on every woman, to be free enough to express yourself, and sex stops becoming just sex. It has some form of meaning. And that's when I got to understand how spiritual sex actually is, because at some point, guys, I know it happens with random people, but when that tear rolls down, that tear. That tear when you're laying down, and then it's like, and then you realize, what the fuck, I actually love this guy. Mid things, and you're trying to be a bad bitch, but like your feelings are like, hey, wait, nah, you love this person, this is your person. So Shapo, finally I was having, I think, that was the peak of my sex life. And I was having the best sex of my life. And I'm not trying to flatter him. This is the truth. He knows it. And then cheating happened. And then all those insecurities that I had are like multiplied now. And I'm like, fuck. I felt betrayed by a man again. And sex was the reason. And this happened at a time where we couldn't be intimate. I think Josie was messing with me, guys, just because I was having really, really amazing yam. Josie was messing with me. Josie's like, you're not gonna do this thing. Hey, you're not gonna do this thing, But fast forward, we break up, we make up, we break up, we make up. If you don't know how many times my partner and I broke up, go check out the videos. One second or third video where I'm talking about breakups. I talk about our breakups there and how we got back together again. But the last breakup that we had, which was the longest one, that's when I decided consciously to abstain from sex. And I think because this was also the time at which I was awakening spiritually, and I just felt like I'm losing the one, and I've given so much of myself sexually, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of these lees I've given to this person, and it's still not enough. And I had to go back, and I had to go within myself and say, I'm not going to give that to anyone else but my husband. And I had to rid myself of the sexual connections that I had made over the years recklessly, because I felt like they were really affecting where I was and how I was perceiving myself, because now I felt dirtier than ever. I'm like, you didn't have to give this person that much of yourself, and now they broke your trust. A man took your innocence again, your purity again, and you let him. This time around, you let him, right? So I went through that turmoil, which is when I decided, and I had a conversation with God, and I said, look, I promise you, like, if you rid me of the nonsense that I've collected over the years, of the burdens that I'm carrying, tsabatwabang, and people that they've had sex with. Please cleanse me. And I promise the next person that I will give myself to in that way will be my husband. And I mean, for the longest time it worked, guys, until a point where I was like, man, guys, I'm human waiting. I'm really human and I miss it. And I was like, I'm gonna hook up with some guy, whatever. I tried, it didn't work. You know, there's some guy that I tried, we tried to hook up, I kissed him, and then his dead father started talking to me. So you can imagine that was not a turn on, you know what I mean? So the whole of 2019, I had abstained from sex. I won't say I was celibate, but I had abstained from sex. And I did well, you know. I did really well. Even when I tried towards the end of 2019, I tried to hook up with some guys. Just, it never happened. It never happened for me. And most of it was because of Closey. And I'm so grateful because it provided so much mental clarity of what I wanted, of what I needed in my life, of the kind of man that I wanted. And I would get guys who would come to me and I would get tested on what I've learned and the spiritual growth that I had made, because these men, I mean, I got hit on by married men. It was just a mess, you know, and I had to discipline myself and say, I'm not going to give it to anybody else but my husband, whoever that guy is. I'm pretty sure I'm ready to have a husband now. You know, and then this here nigger came back. And when he came back, we spoke and, you know, we let out our feelings. I'll speak about how we got back together and how he proposed in another video. But he told me that he wants to marry me. I didn't take him seriously. A week later, he was like, tell your parents they should expect a letter. I went and told my parents to expect a letter. I still didn't believe him. And on the 1st of January 2020, he proposed to me. And it's actually the night after, because we went out, right? So when the shampoos were like, I was like, but he was already my husband. So let me back it up for a change, you know. So, which will also explain the story of how he proposed and the fact that I was naked when he proposed. Okay? So anyway, so yeah, we consummated our relationship, I guess, at that point, and he proposed, and everything sort of happened the way it's happening now. And now we're realizing we're seeing each other every day, and we're interacting with each other every day, and he sees me dry and he sees me pretty and he sees me moody and he smells my morning breath every morning. That how sexy all the time, you know. Now we're working from home. How sexy. You're tired. You're just nar. The routine of being at home is also nar. So sometimes we have to consciously say, okay, babe, let's get an Airbnb outside of town and just go hang there, you know, a change of environment to sort of revive the BAPS side of life, you know. But I think the most important thing that I'm grateful for, especially going into a marriage with my partner, is that we are able to speak about how we feel, especially with regards to sex. And that's because he's created a very safe space for me to be able to be myself and express myself sexually. And that means expressing when I'm not comfortable to have sex, expressing when my body is reacting funny and I'm not comfortable with him doing certain things to me, or even touching me, or even having sex. Even if he's in the mood, I'm in the mood. But if the pH balance is off, I'm telling him, baby, the pH balance is off. It's just going to turn us off while we're having sex. So we have a very safe way of communicating when it comes to the topic of sex. And I think I appreciate that because it's so important going into a marriage, that you're able to know that your no is safe, to know that your not right now is respected, to know that let's do it here, I want to do it is also respected, you know. And the I'm just not in the mood is understood and not taken personally. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I take it personally, but it is what it is, you know. Sexual drives change, we are gonna grow, but I'm just glad that I'm in a space where sex is no longer synonymous with violence, synonymous with trauma. It's a beautiful thing. It's a spiritual thing for me, which is amazing. And I get to do it with someone who I love and someone who I trust and someone who has made it safe for me to express myself in that way. And I'm super grateful for that. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. That's my journey with sex in relationships leading up to my marriage. And I think I'll probably have a different idea of what sex is 2 years, 5 years, 10 years into this marriage. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, please do comment in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to share, like, and press the red button because it's for free. I'll see you guys during the week. Mwah. Love you.